Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish. So yesterday we talked about the art, the practice of becoming. We talked about what a practice means and how it just means that we are doing basically the same things daily so that we can be aware of what it is that needs to maybe change. And today I've got a really, going for the jugular kind of a thing that I think is going to be helpful for you. I'm really black and white, when it comes to some of this stuff. It's like, I need to know, don't do this, but do this instead. And it's less of this and more of that. I like the contrast because my brain appreciates it. My brain's going, no to that, yes to this, right? And it makes a big, big difference, doesn't it? Have you noticed how that makes such a difference? And there's the aha moments come when we have such a vivid contrast. It's helpful. Well, yesterday I was talking about how we got how I, came up with the theme for the week on becoming from Kurt Vonnegut. And he had a teacher named Ms. Lockwood in 2007, I think, or 2006. Have her students write an author who is still alive with the art of persuasion to convince them to come to the school. Well, she had 4 students that ended up saying, Kurt Vonnegut, Kurt Vonnegut. So he got 4 letters from this high school, and this is his reply. Because I didn't have it with me yesterday to read, so I'm going to read it to you because it was so good. Dear Xavier High School, Miss Lockwood, Misters Perrin, McFeely, Batten, Maurer, and Conquista, I thank you for your friendly letters. You know how to cheer up a really old geezer, and then parentheses 84, in his sunset years. I don't make public appearances anymore because I now resemble nothing so much as an iguana. What I had to say to you, moreover, would not take long, to wit, practice any art. Music, singing, dancing, acting, drawing, painting, sculpting, poetry, fiction, essays, reportage, no matter how well or badly, not to get money or fame, but to experience becoming, to find out what's inside of you, to make your soul grow. Here's an assignment for tonight, and I hope Ms. Lockwood will flunk you if you don't do it. Write a 6-line poem about anything, but rhymed. No fair tennis without a net. Make it as good as you possibly can, but don't tell anyone what you're doing. Don't show it or recite it to anyone, not even your girlfriend or parents or whatever, or Ms. Lockwood, okay? Then tear it up into teeny weeny pieces and discard them into widely separated trash receptacles. You will find that you have already been gloriously rewarded for your poem. You have experienced becoming, learned a lot more about what's inside of you, and you have made your soul grow. God bless you all. Now, he died the next year in 2007. But I love this letter, and I loved this whole idea of using creativity. We talked about that last week if you were here for that whole discussion, because creativity is the thing that lights us up for solutions and for all kinds of things with our lives. And we all have creativity, and so we just need to poke the bear, so to speak, and get it going. But so yesterday it was about stepping into it and what it means to become and what it means to basically become our best selves and step into our best selves. And today I want to give you a couple of lists of things that will help you with the art of becoming, to practice becoming. And what is this really except to get to the core of yourself and who you are and whose you are, really, And I believe that we have our personalities and the differences in what we are, not to get lost in the sea of humanity, but rather to be our own unique selves so that we can bring the gifts and the creativity and the different things that are needed in this world at this time for a reason. That's how we get to our purpose, and that's how we practice our purpose, by becoming. That's what I see. And I also know that we get distracted with a bunch of busy stuff. There's necessary things that we have to do in this world. We have to make grocery lists and get gas in the car and clean toilets. But we also have to do things or not in our lives to help us to do the real stuff of building and feeding our souls. Exactly what Kurt Vonnegut was saying, to help our souls to grow. Because as our souls grow, we become more truly ourselves. I really believe this with all of my heart. And I believe too that it's not, again, we don't want to be lost in a sea of humanity, but we need to stick out and be our own self in all our wretched glory, flaws, bumps, and everything. Because that is what separates us from just getting in and day out, numbed out, checked out, and not living a full life. Amen to that? I don't know about you, but if God has chosen me and said, I want you here on purpose and for purpose doing this work, then I want to be in it. I don't want to just be doing it blindly and just be a part of, another want on the internet. I really want to be a part of this. I want to feel it in my whole being. I want to experience it. I want to see what happens when I dare to walk outside of my comfort zone. And that's basically what it is. So I compiled a list of 5 things on each side, and I'll go over them a little bit. So it's a short show today, but I think this is important because I think sometimes we're oftentimes, at least I am, a list maker, an expert list maker. I make lists for everything. I've got lists on my wall right now. I've got lists on my desk. I've got lists in my planner. I've got lists. I got the lists all over the place. I got lists on my phone, like perpetual grocery lists. I got all kinds of stuff. But the list that I want to focus on right now is the stop list. There's a list of stopping things that need to get taken out of the rotation that I do. I think we all do. And I think it helps to bring us into this place of actually becoming and less of reacting. Becoming is so much different than reacting. A reaction is more knee-jerk half the time, right? And it's more that kind of a thing of being reactory as opposed to being proactive in one's life. And proactive just means that you are planning for the big picture, that you have an analysis going on, that you see what's coming up. And I think that's really critically important, especially when you've made a decision that you're going to become the best version of yourself that you can. And you're going to step into this new level of living your life. That's all we can do, right? But we got to stop a bunch of stuff that maybe is taking up not only a whole lot of time, but a whole lot of room in your head and a lot of emotional and mental energy. I'm going to go through, I've got 5 things. It wasn't hard to figure them out, right? Number 1, stop complaining. All right. We all complain. There's always something, right? Last week, I was complaining like I couldn't, or a couple of weeks ago, gosh, I guess it's been that long, that I was nervous Nelly about being able to put Full Bloom together because, and this happens to me every time, but I was fully, yap, on Slack. I don't know, I'm going to get this, talking to Jenny, letting her know, talking to Mark, my stuff spread out all over Kingdom Come, but I was complaining the whole time. And then when it finally came together, of course, when everything gelled and snapped into place, I was just absolutely not only relieved, but I knew that was going to happen. It happens every time. I think we can do without Leon's complaining next time. That's all I have to say about that. It took up a lot of energy, a lot of time, a lot of emotional distraughtness. I was getting really nervous, and I was working myself into this because I started opening my lips and complaining that I haven't found the thing yet to click the whole thing together. Here's what I know. When we start bringing out the list, and not just say like, hey, this isn't quite working out yet. I don't know what's going on, but I've done this and I've done that and I've done this. And it started on January 15th. And then on October 3rd, when we start doing that and we get into the detail and we tick the boxes off and keep going, like everybody's interested in hearing all the things, that's when we are hooked on complaining instead of hooked on solutions. Anybody sting anyone a little bit? That's where all the energy's going, by the way. It's to that stuff, not to the solution, which is get to the place so you put the whole thing together. What is the solution? I want this to snap into place. I want this to be an impactful workshop. How can I make it happen? How can it be so? Stop complaining and put your energy on that. Get into prayer, meditate, journal, do all the things. Do all the things. It will come together. Number 2, stop waiting. How often do we just sit and wait for a good mood to come along, the motivation to do so, or perhaps we're waiting for motivation to come tap us on the shoulder and say, here I am. But it's nonsense. However, we procrastinate our lives away by waiting on these obscure emotions that are supposed to come to us, if only, and they don't. Because I have found that if you chase after some of this stuff, instead, and make a decision that I am going to be motivated and I am going to be confident, you'll find that it's the old horse before the cart thing, because you don't get confidence till you do something, and you don't get the motivation to continue until you've tried it. Right? That's it right there. That's how you become confident. That's how you get motivated. You have to do something to get it. It's not the other way around. So if we are waiting, we're going to be waiting for a very long time. We'll watch the spiders build cobwebs in the corners of our rooms. Stop waiting. Number 3 is stop comparing. Comparison? There's a new word for you. Stop comparing. Comparison is the thief of all joy. Comparing yourself to somebody else, comparing your kid to somebody else's, even your dog. I'm on a dog thing for Silver Labs, and people are comparing constantly and comparing coats. My dog has a shinier coat than your dog does. And I'm like, does this ever end? We did this when we were children, and it was exhausting. Do you remember that? Constantly comparing, constantly worrying, one-upsmanship. And all it is an emotional and exhaustive exercise in nothing. Because the only thing that you can do is compare what you last did with what you're doing now. How can I make this better? How can it be a better experience? What's going to change everything? I did that with Full Circle, Inner Circle. The reason that I did it like this, I looked at what I've done in the past, and I did year-long programs. And what didn't work about them was the year-long program. People would start checking out after a while. So instead, I crunched it up into 12 weeks, because that's going to make a difference, and it's going to make it better. It's going to make it more intense, and it's going to get the momentum going without losing ground. That's why. So that kind of comparison, those are good things to do. But when we compare ourselves to others and our children and our husbands and our houses and our decorating and our how we eat and how we exercise and what we believe in it. When we get into all of this stuff, we just are left emotionally drained basket cases. There is nothing to compare to. The only thing you can compare that's yours is what you've done in the past, so you can make it better. That's the only reason why. Number 4, stop checking out and numbing out. And I will tell you, as a let's just call me a recovering food addict, I know what that is. I know exactly what that is. And you can numb out and check out all that you want, but you can't live your life too. Numbing out and checking out is just the way of saying, I don't wanna. And your I don't wannas start to cover and coat every wall of your house and cave in on you. Numbing out is just, it's sad. Wine, shows, games on your phone, whatever, but it's easy to do. And I get it. I certainly get it. But it's time to step into your life. So we have to stop numbing out and we have to stop checking out. And number 5, stop being overwhelmed. And you know why I say this? Because I think there's always an opportunity to be overwhelmed. Now you can be trigger happy overwhelmed, like anything overwhelms you. That's my mom. Evie says it exactly. It's too hard. I can't, it's too hard. Well, if you can't, you're right. If you can, you're right also. It's make a choice, make a decision. My calendar today says you need to go from wanting to change your life to deciding to change your life. And that's exactly what this is. It's not just a want, it's a change. It's a yes, I'm here. Hi, Juanita. So how about this? We can be overwhelmed if we just sit there and think about all the things. Or we can select one thing and just say, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it well. And then I'm going to go to the next thing and the next thing. I'm not going to get it all done in a day, but I'm going to do the best that I can with what I have right now today. That's all you can do. And when we stop getting into the whole superlative, it's overwhelming, it's too hard, I can't, but look at me and look at her and look at everything, then we will start to step into a whole different type of a life where we can start selecting and hand selecting what it is that we will deal with at the time. And I know that there's a lot of times where it is just frightfully overwhelming. Taking care of an elderly parent and children at the same time, and then the dog needs to be walked and it's raining, or you got a flat tire on the way and it just piles on. It happens. But our reaction to it also keeps us trapped if we are going to allow that. Caroline and Sam, when they were on their way here, they had day 2, dead battery. And Caroline says, we're cursed when it comes to traveling. And I said, stop saying that. No, you're not. You had a dead battery. We dealt with it. Now next. That's the thing that we need to do is we need to go into the place of what it is that we want, not just starting to roll around and wallow in what it is that we don't want. Because we attract the stuff in that we talk about. It's just, we do. It's just magnetic. Hi, Joanne. Here's your start list. This is more encouraging, I think so. Number 1 is to start shining brightly. Remember I said just a minute ago, don't get lost in a sea of humanity. Stick out. Be you. Be a beacon of hope to someone else. Be shiny and an example. Have a smile on your face. And you know what? That doesn't mean that you're pretending that everything is just great. It just means that you've decided to shine despite the clouds. I don't know, that sounds like a Hallmark card, doesn't it? But maybe we need a little more Hallmark in our lives and a little less cloud. It's time. This is how we step into what's better. It's not that we're faking it till we're making it. What we're doing is making a decision to shine brightly anyway. Anyway. Well, Petra, I'm so glad you're here. You're not lost when you're with us. Start shining brightly. I double dog dare you. I double dog dare you. Who you are is so important. Whose you are is evident. And your shining is bringing everybody to a place of seeing God because you get to reflect Him. Him. What about that? That's huge. And it's a responsibility. And I think it's one we can shoulder easily without being overwhelmed, but instead being greatly privileged, highly favored and greatly privileged, by the way, that He would choose you to be here at this time at this place. Your responsibility is to shine, reflect. How about that? How do you feel about that? I think about that. My heart is singing. It's a beautiful thing. Number 2 is kind of funny, but honestly, I really think this changed my life. And it's when I stopped emoting all the stuff that was going on and just made a decision, just for a minute, not to deny my feelings, not to say that they didn't count, not anything, but to just say, you know what, unplug for just a minute and start analyzing what the heck is going on here? What's going on here? I'm feeling this overwhelming thing going on. So what is it? And just write. I've got all this with the house. I've got this I got to take care of. I've got all of this stuff. This stuff needs to go to the doctors. This stuff needs to go to the CPA. This stuff, it's what needs to happen here. How are we going to get all this stuff in alignment? How are we going to get all this stuff taken care of? Well, I'll tell you what, it starts with one itsy bitsy little step, and that is to go get yourself a nice big pad of paper and start writing. Categorize all the things that need to be done. Because I promise you, once it's out on paper, now you've got a reference. Now you've got someplace where you can just go look at it. You've got it all written out, and then things just start to get checked off, start to get done. And suddenly that overwhelmingness starts to dissipate because you did this one thing, and then you did the other, and then you did the next thing. And then you can say, you know what? Emotionally, this is how I'm feeling, but I'm feeling so much better because I've done these things. Analysis is our greatest weapon against over emoting and just getting completely stuck. There's not a thing wrong with feeling overwhelmed or being even overwhelmed, but when we're constantly making declarations about it on a daily basis, several times a day, we're start to suffocate. And I'm just saying the way out of this is analysis. And I'm dead serious about this because it gives us an opportunity to really see this is where all is. And it's all here on paper and I can see it. And now it's not jumbled up in my head. We get all tangled up in all the thoughts and all the things and all the this, that, and the other thing. We don't need to be. What we need to do is find an outlet for it. And I'll tell you, the very best thing I know in the whole world is paper and pencil. And you know how I feel about pencils. I'm a big fan. Love me some pencil. They erase and they make nice on your paper. So do that, will you? And just watch how it feels. And watch then how you can then be, I guess, emotionally appropriate rather than just completely, gobsmacked and out of and out of the loop. Perfect. Lucy says analysis stops paralysis. It does. 100% does, because it requires action. That pen to paper too is really good for your brain. Go get a pencil, girlfriend. Petra, go get a pencil. I love it. Number 3 is to start feeding the grit and not the quit. We quit on ourselves. That's a declarative fact. We quit on ourselves. We get to day 4 on the sprint, for example, and it's just too hard. I forgot my bone broth. I didn't make the smoothie this morning. I didn't want to do this. The girls at work are going to go to Applebee's. They didn't have anything there. And on and on. And I'm going to tell you this right now, that when you start to feed that grit, that you say, I'm worth it, I'm worth the time, I'm worth the effort, I'm worth figuring this out, I'm worth the solutions, then your grit factor steps up a bit. It does. And the likelihood of quitting goes down and down and down. So we have this mug. It's our mindful mug. Look, I have grit, not quit. Grit means that you hold on. You've got the moxie to do so. That means that you're not going to let go. That means that you've got your eye on the prize, and that in and of itself is enough for you. And I'll tell you, being in our groups, all of this makes all the difference in the world, because there is such great comfort there and support and encouragement because we all need it. Do you have breath? You know, if you're taking a breath, you need to be encouraged in this life. That's all there is to it. We all need that. That's how we continue. That's how we keep growing. That's how we become who we're meant to be. Number 4 is to start listening to your inner wisdom. It's there. You're born with it. Start listening to God. He's there. He loves you. He hears you. He knows the number of hairs on your head. All of it. Start listening to your intuition. Your intuition is that wisdom that was God-given. It's in your DNA. And when we start to do this and start to really think about ourselves and say, well, yeah, there's this knowing that I have, and we stop putting ourselves off, we start stepping into that wisdom that we have had all along, and we start developing that. How important is that? That's who you are, my lovely. That is who you are. That's the core of your beautiful self. And if we can start doing this a little bit more and remember, we're not performing. There's no stage. You're not performing and worrying about what other people think. You are living your best life and becoming who you are so that you can basically become the very best version of yourself so you can be the person you're supposed to be, that you were put on earth to be. Yeah? You get that? That's a huge connector for all of us. And that's how we have to go about doing our lives. And then the last one I have for you is this. Start asking for everything you want. Ask for it. Ask for the moon and the stars and all the galaxies. Ask for them all. This is what you want, then say so. Then say so and declare it. Remember that? Declare it, decree it, decide. What do you want? You can have anything you want if you're willing to do the work to go get it. Because I'll tell you right now, that's the secret sauce right there. That's the secret door to all of this. There's a little work involved. You got to roll up your sleeves. You got to get busy. And you may have to make a decision about what it is that you want to stop and what it is that you want to start. Because that's what becoming the best version of yourself requires. There's always a requirement. And I don't know about you, but I'm willing to do the work, aren't you? I'm willing to step up into the better stuff. I'm willing to drop a whole bunch of this garbage and stop it and instead start some of this stuff. I want to shine brightly, right? I want to start analyzing things a little bit better and stop being over emotionally involved with something that maybe isn't even there, you know? I want to start feeding the grit and not the quit anymore. I want to be really on top of this and stop starting and stopping. Stop starting and stopping. How about just keep going? How about consistency as the factor? What about that? And I want to start listening to my inner wisdom because it's there. It was God-given, and I need to listen to that more. Do you? And I want everything. I want all of it. And I'm asking for all of it because I believe that we serve an abundant God who loves us more than anything in the whole world and is willing to give us all kinds of stuff. Do you believe that? Pinkies up. It is time to shine brightly. It's time to start living our best lives. And we do that by becoming. And we become by practicing it on a daily basis. There's lots of stuff to stop. Maybe you have some other things. But I'll tell you what, there's a lot of stuff to start. What do you think? You with me? Peace be with you. I appreciate you. I will see you tomorrow. Bye.
Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.